In today's Leeds news, Roca permanent summer move, Leeds boost in Doig transfer, Giles move ready, Liverpool loanee recalled could help Leeds, Gnonto to West Ham with Burnley replacement, and Diallo interest re-emerges. Morning folks, Jer here on the 18th of January with your Leeds United news. Hope you're all having a really good week so far. We are halfway through the week. There is a press conference today. This has been done before the press conference, so won't be covering the press conference now. However, we will have a live stream tonight at 7:30, a match preview ahead of the Preston game this weekend with Andrew Dalton, aka LUFC Stats. That will be at 7:30pm tonight as a live stream. So if you want to keep an eye on the page as well, you'll see a reminder go up there later on today. There's a bit of news to get through, but just a couple of things to update people on around players that have been linked with Leeds that are look like they could be going elsewhere now. Jaffa Tanganga was linked yesterday from Spurs to Leeds as a potential fullback option. It now looks very likely that he is going to head to Millwall. The goalkeeper that was linked with Leeds a couple of weeks ago, Dragowski, he now looks like he will be heading towards Panathinaikos. The reason behind that is that Leeds would only be bringing him in if Illan Meslier was sold in January, and that's now looking less and less likely. And also Daniel Farke's preference at the fullback area, Neco Williams, looks like he is heading towards Feyenoord, with several reports now floating around. Alan Nixon with the first one, but plenty of other places now picking up the story that Neco Williams could be heading towards Feyenoord. Not done and dusted, none of those deals are finished yet, but just wanted to give you an update on the players that we've been reporting on over the last couple of weeks and not just leave them, dead in the water. Anyway, let's get on to the ones that are linked with Leeds this week, and there's a couple of exits here and there's a couple of potential incomings as well to keep an eye on. We'll start off with the Marc Roca deal, and according to reports in Spain, Real Betis will plan to make a permanent move for Marc Roca once his loan deal finishes in the summer. According to El Desmarques in Spain, Betis plan to make a £12 million offer for the player should Leeds get promoted to the Premier League at the end of the season. The report also states that if Leeds don't get promoted to the Premier League, his loan clause will still be in place next season and he can remain at Betis on loan. However, should Leeds go up, they plan to make a £12 million bid for the player. Roca's having a really, really good season in Spain, and he has talked openly about his desire to remain in Spain. The 27-year-old has got a contract at Leeds United until 2026, the end of 2026. So there's still some time on that for Leeds. If he does go back out on loan next year, if the worst case scenario happens and Leeds don't go up, I think we will. But if we don't, there's still that option there a year later. But ideally for Leeds to get that money in, it would be good to get up this year. He's been in excellent form. Betis want to keep him. He wants to stay there. He's happy in Spain. He's doing well down there. I think everything suits the player, and a potential move away would help Leeds as well. I don't think Leeds need the player now anymore. I think we've started looking at Ilya Gruev and we started looking at Glenn Kamara and thinking we've got what we really wanted in there. Ethan Ampadu as well has been excellent. So that's that. Moving on to fullbacks now, and there's a lot of fullbacks in today's news. It's definitely a priority for Leeds. These names aren't coming out of nowhere. I would imagine this is very likely Leeds' shortlist of potential fullbacks. Josh Doig has popped back up again. Leeds remain interested in the Hellas Verona fullback. Josh Doig, any deal for the player looked like it was dead in the water last week after Marseille were announced as agreeing a deal with Hellas Verona for the player, and it looked like a deal was done and dusted. However, the deal was cancelled after Marseille missed a deadline by Verona to confirm the deal for the player. As such, then, Hellas Verona's cancelled that deal and the player is still available and could now be an option for Leeds. According to Sky Sports, the Whites could now reignite their interest in the player, as a player that Daniel Farke does like. He's having a very good season for Verona as well. He's a player that is touted as having a lot of potential and a very, very, very good future fullback, as well as a very good player right now as well. So one to keep an eye on there as well. Moving on, Ryan Giles was mentioned last week and it's popped back up again today. And according to Team Talk, so with Team Talk, usual caveats, massive pinch of salt on this. According to Team Talk, they reclaimed that Leeds United will battle Cardiff City for Luton £5 million fullback Ryan Giles. Giles was linked last week, as I said, and Daniel Farke avoided the question when asked by Phil Hay, was there any interest in the player, saying that he will only talk about deals when they are done. A potential loan is what's being touted for the player. They only bought him last year for £5 million, Luton, so he hasn't played a huge amount of games in the Premier League. He's a good player at this level especially, but there are also apparently several unnamed Championship clubs interested in the player, and that's for me where the pinch of salt comes in with Team Talk. They name Leeds and Cardiff and then other potential clubs. So yeah, pinch of salt on that one. Moving on then, and let's look at a potential other incoming that has come back from a loan, and Liverpool have cancelled the loan of youngster Calvin Ramsey, and according to reports it is now being claimed that Leeds United could step in and pick up the player. The Mail, who have been given priority access by Leeds United over the last couple of months, and definitely under the new ownership, having been at Levi Stadium with the San Francisco 49ers and breaking the news about the takeover and Daniel Farke's appointment, and getting behind the scenes access early in the season when Parag Marathe made his first address to the Leeds United staff. They are now claiming that the reports are true, that Leeds could move for the player. Ramsey could be considered as a possible solution for both fullback positions. He can play right or left back and definitely does fit the ideals that Daniel Farke likes to have in a fullback. We've seen that with Sam Byram. The inverted fullback situation is one that Daniel Farke is quite fond of, and having a player that can operate right or left side would very much suit the kind of player that Daniel Farke is interested in, and might give Leeds more options to rotate. Instead of bringing in two players, bringing in one gives them more options, with Byram at right back, Robinson at right back, Archie Gray at right back, Firpo at left back, Byram at left back. There's options there as well. Shackleton in that mix there as well. So wait and see on that one, and we'll see what happens. There's two more stories to get to. We're flying through this. This is the one. Our big intake of breath is needed. Willie Gnonto to West Ham, with the possibility of a replacement from Burnley, according to journalist Sasha Tavalieri this morning, in what he claims to be an exclusive. Leeds could be about to sell Willie Gnonto to West Ham in this window. Tavalieri said that a sale of Gnonto to West Ham is very likely in this window, but it might more than likely coming towards the end of the window. I reckon we'll see if there's anything in that based on the team selection or the squad selection for the game at the weekend, or if Daniel Farke is asked today in the press conference. What also goes on this piece, he says that Leeds do want Manuel Benson from Burnley as a priority replacement target. Benson was excellent for Burnley last season in the Championship. Slightly more of a struggle this year with them in the Premier League, but they are struggling in the Premier League this year. Very skillful player, very tricky player, very pacey player with a decent finish as well. Is a good young player as well. And he would be seen as a direct replacement for Willie Gnonto in a situation where Leeds do decide to move on and to sell the player. It's a strange one for me. Willie Gnonto's not getting a huge amount of minutes at Leeds. You can understand that there's any real reason or need to keep hold of Willie Gnonto at this stage. He's not making a massive impact off the bench, although you could argue he's not getting a huge amount of opportunities either. The games he has started in as well haven't worked out particularly well for him either. So maybe Leeds could be cutting their cloth here and moving Willie Gnonto on and bringing in a player with a more direct player maybe, or a player who's more focused on playing in the team. There's a lot of question marks around Willie Gnonto at the moment and what's going to happen with him, but he is an Italian international. He will want to play in the Euros, and sitting on the bench for Leeds United getting 15 minutes or 4 or 5 minutes the weekend aren't going to be what he wants as a player as well. And you can kind of understand that from that perspective. So that's the Willie Gnonto situation. We'll keep an eye on that. It has been very quiet about Gnonto over the course of this window, outside of a couple of rumblings at the start. I expected an awful lot more news around Gnonto given his agency situation. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But as such, according to Sasha Tavalieri, and again, pinch of salt because it's the only one that's come out with this so far, but he is claiming it as an exclusive. And he has got a significant following as well. He's like 90,000 or 86,000 supporters on Twitter as well. So keep an eye on that. Before someone else says it, I know Twitter followers are not a metric of success or, credibility. I do know that. And then finally today, Amad Diallo interest as well. According to the Daily Mirror, Leeds United are amongst several clubs interested in Manchester United's Amad Diallo, with Sunderland, Middlesbrough and Southampton being mentioned as potential interested clubs in the player. However, it was mentioned earlier this week that Middlesbrough looked like they were in the prime seat to bring the player in, and a deal was all but done to Borough. However, now according to Fabrizio Romano, he has weighed in and saying that any kind of a deal will be difficult to do, as Erik ten Hag has no plan for Diallo to leave on loan this season for the remainder of the season, and definitely no interest in the player going to the Championship on loan. Romano says the £37 million player that was brought in from Atalanta is set to be a key part of their second half of the season, with Anthony being in poor form so far this season and most of last season as well. So it looks like there is a potential that they could hang on to Amad Diallo, and he will have a bigger part to play for Manchester United in the second half of the season. Leeds are still interested in the player. He will be an exciting player to bring in, but with Jorginho Rutter doing so well in the number 10 position, with the wingers situation, again, Somerville and James doing really, really well, and decent backup options there as well, that might be a harder deal to do as well. But that's what's floating around today. There's a good few bits in there. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. Like, Leeds are leaving late. There's 14 days left in the window. We did get the impression Leeds would leave this late before they made their moves to get their priority targets. The likes of Neco Williams looking like he said into Holland looked like it was going to be the one that Daniel Farke was willing to sit back and wait on. That looks like it's going to be done and out of the window for him there. Again, Ryan Sessegnon stuff has been mentioned, but there's nothing concrete in that, and there is nothing from any credible sources on Sessegnon, so won't go into any kind of detail, but just wanted to address it in case somebody asks in the comments. And that's going to be it for me today, folks. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. I'm back at 7:30 tonight with the match preview. Have a great day. Talk to you then. See ya. Bye.